With trade rumors escalating around the Chicago Bulls, we're going to be talking about some hypothetical trades that send Vooch over to the Golden State Warriors or the Los Angeles Lakers. This is your host, Rico Greenhowe, and you have found yourself in another episode of Bulls Digest. And so today we are talking about the possibility of trading Vooch. It is no new news out there with the Chicago Bulls that they are open for business, and pretty much everybody is on the table to be traded, and one of the talked about names out there is going to be Vooch and Zach Lavine. And so we are looking at a possibility of him being moved to one of two teams, and these are hypothetical trades. I want to put that out there. These are all hypothetical trades. And so let's start with the Golden State Warriors. And so I think the Golden State Warriors are a team that could be interested in Vooch. This is something that we've heard last season. This is something that I'm starting to see a little bit more of now as well. And I think that they would want to trade for Vooch because they're in a win-now window. And by going out there and getting Vooch, you're getting a player that can knock down the three ball, which is something the Golden State Warriors definitely would want to continue to do. Then also, too, they are getting a player that is going to provide them a serious inside presence. With the way that Vooch has been going down in the paint, he's taking advantages of mismatches, and he's figuring out ways to score there. I think that that is something that the Golden State Warriors can certainly utilize. And I think defensively, we know that Vooch, can be a liability out there. But with the pieces that the Golden State Warriors have, obviously their roster construction, they probably go out there and get Vooch, and it makes a ton of sense. And so this first trade that we're looking at, it's suggested by a writer that is on Fadeaway Sports, and I think that it's a good starting point. And so we're going to take a look at that suggested trade, and then I'm going to show you what I came up with in the trade finder here. And so this article is something that you can find here under this title. And so what this writer suggests is that they would send, and talking about the Golden State Warriors, would send Anthony Melton over to the Chicago Bulls with Gary Payton II, and also to the second round 2026 pick, and then the 2029 second round pick over to the Chicago Bulls in exchange for Vooch. And so initially, I think that it is a deal that makes sense if the Bulls are looking to get some draft assets. We've been hearing that at least 2 second-round picks would be a starting point. So I can certainly understand that the draft capital actually makes sense here. So I can see the Chicago Bulls taking that. Now with Gary Payton II and D'Anthony Melton. So D'Anthony Melton currently, he's injured. He is on an expiring deal that's $12.8 million. And then with Gary Payton II, he is on an expiring deal at $9.1 million. And so at this point, with Gary Payton II, he is a defensive player. I'm not sure that, immediately the Chicago Bulls would use him. Would that be a situation where they might redirect him? That is a possibility. I think that, as a defensive player and a player that brings a lot of energy, I could see, maybe a contending team wanting to go ahead and utilize Gary Payton II. And so even if you don't see him in your plans, you could maybe go ahead and flip that asset for, something else. Or the Chicago Bulls could just hold on to him for the year and let that contract expire. And the same thing with D'Anthony Melton. I don't think that, he would be in the long-term plan for the Chicago Bulls. But here's the thing. With the way that, Vooch is playing right now, I think that you could argue that maybe Vooch could maybe command a protected first-round pick. I could certainly see something like that scenario, because he's playing so well. And I also think that there is, maybe a trade scenario where Vooch actually gets back a decent player as well, because I think that that is something that the Chicago Bulls could absolutely go into the negotiation table with and say, look, you're getting a player that could maybe immediately help you with a title at this point in time. And so maybe the Chicago Bulls can get something for their future. And so what I'm suggesting here, and just going into the trade generator here and going off of this trade, I think that the Chicago Bulls might be able to get one of Golden State's younger pieces here. And so I don't know how available Jonathan Kuminga is. I mean, I don't know if he is or not, but I wonder, because they didn't reach a contract extension with him. He has been in situations where he started for them. He's also come off the bench. And I know, just looking at him, I think he's a terrific defender. I think he's a player that has the physical tools to maybe guard 1 through 5. I think that he's shown the ability to knock down three-point shots. He certainly has shown the ability to be athletic in the transition game. And I think that those really check the box for the Chicago Bulls. They're looking to get up three-point shots, and they're looking to get a lot faster on the offensive end. And so I could certainly see a scenario where he's out there filling the lane with maybe Modest Buzelis out there. Now, if you were able to get him over from Golden State, this would mean that you're probably going to maybe make a decision with Patrick Williams. And I think with Jonathan Kuminga coming to the Chicago Bulls, I don't feel like he gets in the way of what Modest Buzelis is doing as far as developing as well. I could see a situation where both of those players could possibly play on the floor together. Now, here is the deal with Kuminga, and this is where it gets interesting. It is a one-year deal, all right, and so it's an expiring contract. But right now with Kuminga, he's experiencing a little bit of a down year because the season before he averaged 16.1 points per game, 4.8 rebounds a game. He shot 32.1% from the three-point line. And now he also shot 52.9% from the field. And so now this year, he is scoring at 13.8 points per game. He's got 4.2 rebounds a game, 0.4 blocks a game. He's shooting 43.7% from the field, and he's now shooting at 29.7% from three at the time of this video recording. And so, look, he's experiencing a down year at this point in time, but he's also shown some upside, all right? And so, you're obviously going to evaluate him. If he does work out, that this is a player that you get back in this Vooch trade, and you also get some draft assets. And so I think that that's where that works out with Chicago. If not, it's expiring contracts that you can move on from, all right? And you still get some draft capital. And so that is the first trade scenario. And so next, I want to go ahead and take a look at just really the draft capital that the Golden State Warriors have. And so even if it doesn't come down to getting a player like Jonathan Kuminga, I think it's possible that maybe, the Chicago Bulls could maybe talk to the Golden State Warriors about some additional draft picks, because here is a list of their draft picks that they have. And so maybe the Chicago Bulls go to the negotiation table and get another draft pick or something like that. So that is possible. Maybe that's a scenario as well. So next up, I want to talk about a possible deal to the Los Angeles Lakers. This is something that's been rumored. I'd heard this before. I've heard different variations of the deal. I've heard that, there's possibility, that D'Angelo Russell, Hachimura, Christian Wood, just a number of players that really make the numbers match up. I think Gabe Vincent has been out there as well. But the one thing that I think is a commonality in this deal is the fact that with a Lakers deal, you are going to get some draft picks. And so you would get a 2025 second round pick and a 2027 second round pick. And so, I think this is a trade that initially has just been talked about here. Hachimura, it is also too, you have Hood Schifino, and then you also have those picks that I just talked about coming back to you. So the 2025 and then the 2027 second round pick in exchange for Vooch. And so initially, I think that this is a decent deal. And so I'm thinking that what the Chicago Bulls could do here in this scenario is they could send out an additional player and perhaps maybe get a young center back on an expiring contract. And so I think that the Chicago Bulls could maybe pivot here. They could throw Torrey Craig in this deal, and then they could get Jaxson Hayes possibly to come back in this deal along with those draft picks here. You still have, and then Hood Schifino as well. And so, with Hood Schifino, you have, a player that's on an expiring contract, not sure if he's going to be there for the long term for you. He is a guard. But with Jaxson Hayes, here's a center that can go out there and he can run the floor for you. Here's a center that maybe can give you a little bit of rim protection as well. So I like that aspect here. And then, with him right now, currently he's averaging 17.5 minutes per game, 6.4 points a game, and also 4.6 rebounds a game and 0.8 blocks. And so he's having some pretty good numbers, playing at 17.5 minutes a game. And so, if you're moving on from Vooch, I'm not sure if he would be your starter, if it now immediately moves to Jalen Smith, which I think would probably be the best bet because he's going to be able to be a stretch five. He's still able to knock down some shots. He's a good rim runner. Hasn't really shown a whole bunch on the post just yet. Maybe that is something that we would see with him being in the starting lineup. But between those two centers, I think that you have something here. And you also have Adama Sanogo behind them. So that does give you a little bit of stability at the center position. And it's also on a 1-year contract. So it's an expiring deal. Once again, it's a younger player that you could utilize right now. And you could possibly go ahead and extend him. If not, you go ahead and move on from him. Hachimura, what I love about him is that I think he's a great defensive player. He can knock down the 3-ball. This is a player that can certainly hit the mid-range shot as well. And he's athletic enough to run the floor. And I don't think that he would get in the way of developing Modest Buzelis. I think that I could see both of them playing on the floor. And I think that this also kind of goes into the decision and what you're looking to do in your front court. This would be like, are you moving on from Patrick Williams? Because I think, if you have Modest Buzelis out there, depending on what's going to happen with Julian Phillips and Dalen Terry, we've heard that they might be in deals to move Zach Lavine. Who knows? But that could be a younger front court that you move on with. And I think that they don't necessarily get in the way of each other as far as developing as well. And so anyway, let me know in the comments what you think about these recent hypothetical trades for Vooch. Do you like either of them? Do you feel like the Chicago Bulls are going to make a deal with either the Golden State Warriors or the Los Angeles Lakers? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments out there. And so I want to thank everybody out there for liking, subscribing, and sharing the content. It means a lot to us here at Bulls Digest as we try to reach our goal of 5,000 subscribers by the end of the season out there. Want to encourage you to go ahead and mash that subscribe button. This means a lot to us, as I wanted to let you know about 69.3% of you that watch are not subscribed, so make sure you continue to hit that subscribe button. And so even though we are talking about hypothetical trades, something that we have done really, I think, all off season, but I think that this is something where it could be a lot more realer this time around, because we're hearing the news that the Chicago Bulls are looking to go ahead and have a major shakeup. And so who knows? Hopefully, whatever the Chicago Bulls do, it is something that pushes this team in the right direction and can get this team back to winning and being a contender again. So anyway, let me know in the comments. I want to thank everybody out there. And as usual, I'm always saying, go Bulls, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.